Dog moms, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they're done for you? Dog moms.
Hi, I'm Chrissy, and this is Amber, and welcome to the show, The Dog Moms. Now, we're here because we are going to enjoy spending time with our dogs as both professional dog trainers and professional dog moms.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're at this beautiful cabin getaway. We took all of our dogs. We have, 7 dogs?
Yeah, I forgot how many.
We have a lot of dogs here.
7 dogs here.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. We get to be on the water, and it's really peaceful.
Yeah.
It's been nice.
I love it here. I love being in nature. It's a little bit colder than I anticipated, but thankfully I've got my dog to cuddle with. So I'm loving it here, and I'm excited to just talk about dogs, which is our favorite thing to do.
It is, but it's really cool. This is gonna be a very unique show because it's not just us chatting about dogs. There's a huge twist to this show, and I'm really excited to share it with you. We've actually got the whole DOGTV community, even on social media, to give us topics to talk about. So we don't know what these topics are always gonna be. It's gonna be a little bit random, a little bit crazy, and we just have to go on the fly.
Yeah.
So we have a really cool thing called the Pet Roulette, which you can see behind us. And there's a bunch of topics there, but even so, with those topics, we have questions from the DOGTV community, even online, coming from you, right from your own home, asking questions that we're gonna try to answer.
Yeah, and we're gonna have 4 topics per episode, and we can only talk for 4 minutes, which is gonna be really difficult for us to do. So we're gonna share with you guys some of our favorite stories, and we'll get into some of your questions at the end of every episode. So that'll be really fun. I'm excited and a little bit nervous because this roulette thing is making me, a little nervous, but it adds some excitement. So
it does. You get to think on the fly, and
Yeah.
I think it's just gonna be fun to share some of our
All right,
our life
well,
with our
I think
dogs.
we're ready to get started. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go. All right, I've got the power button.
Okay, here we go.
You ready?
All right,
Let's
do
see.
you make it spin?
Oh gosh, okay, I've got to get ready.
What's it gonna be? Oh, it's on the
Traveling
line.
with your dog.
I would have
Sorry.
said that was on the line, but
I like this topic. This is really
actually
fun.
really love this topic.
Okay.
This is our life. This
This is one of the biggest things that you do all the time.
Yeah.
I don't do as much as you, but I love traveling with my dog. So you literally have a car designated to your dogs, which I want one for myself too, but my husband has not been convinced yet. So why don't you start talking about your van?
So I have a van. I actually started with an SUV, which a lot of us do the same, right? Where you're packing the dogs in the back of the car with the crates or however they travel.
Yeah, that's me.
I have now a van that I've changed that has a bed in the back, and the crates are supported underneath the bed, and then there's crates all in the middle because I have 4 dogs now. So traveling with my dog, I put over 100,000 miles on my car in less than 2 years.
Yeah, that's my problem too. It's at 130,000 miles, and people are like, "Your car's not that old. How did you do that?" But honestly, we take our dogs with us everywhere. I have 3 dogs, and I don't have 4. But I've been traveling with all 3 dogs for the past several years. And when we go on vacation, I take them with us. And when we go to dog sport things are at least an hour away. So, traveling is a huge part of our life. And I think crates are a huge part of that too.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the only way my dogs will travel is in a crate because I want them to be safe. That to me is a really big deal because you can only be so safe on the road, but I'm always worried if that van rolls, my dogs have to be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I use Rufflin crates, and so do you. However, in my car, which people might be able to relate to this, I can't fit more than 2 crates in my car, and I have 3 dogs. And so I needed to find a safe way for my dogs to travel with me if they couldn't fit in a crate. And so Oakley here is a very tall boy, and he doesn't always fit inside the crate. So I actually have a harness for him that is a crash-tested harness that you can actually buckle into the back seat of the car, which prevents him from, if we get into an accident, it prevents him from being thrown forward.
Yeah.
And it keeps him safe, and it's crash tested. And that's something that's important, I think, to look into. Not only looking into what types of crates to use in your car if you're traveling, but also if you can't fit a crate, what else can you use that's safe for your dog? And
it's so true. And
that's been huge.
And I think another thing that people underestimate is the power in being prepared. When you're on the road with your dog and you're traveling as much as we do, just having extra things or that first aid kit or I have a medicine bag that always goes with me everywhere with all the different things they could use. We never know what you're gonna run into.
Yeah.
We've been on trips before where they eat something from the ground and their stomach is all messed up and we have to call our vet and get meds sent, and it's better off to be prepared than and having their own sets of bowls. And obviously you have to find nice dog beds to keep them comfortable, but I actually do do memory foam. I just got memory foam online and cut it.
Can I be one of your dogs?
I know, right?
Please.
And because like they're on the road for a long time, so I don't want their joints
That's
to be...
such an important thing to think about, like how long your trip is and what you're planning for it. Well, we're running out of time. We have 1 minute left.
Oh my gosh.
So I want to ask you what your favorite place that you've traveled with your dogs has been.
My favorite place... It's been Mount Rainier. I went to at least the parks surrounding Mount Rainier. That was a really lovely place. There's a lot of parks surrounding that national park that were beautiful to visit. What about you?
All right, 40 seconds.
40 seconds.
Oh, the counter makes me so I gotta hurry up. I traveled, my husband and I traveled to Acadia National Park in Maine, and that was one of the most beautiful, dog-friendly places I've ever traveled with my dogs, and it was like something I absolutely want to go back to. So if you can't go anywhere, go to Acadia if you have the chance.
Find a trail.
Yeah,
like, we love hiking.
and I mean, traveling doesn't have to be going to these grand things. Sometimes it's just going to and from places, but being prepared with the things you need to keep them safe is important too.
It's so true. So hopefully you guys travel with your dogs and have fun, because that's something that we do all the time and I don't regret it.
It's one of my favorite things to do, and including the dogs in a part of our life is the dog mom life, right?
It's true.
Yeah, so
I think
3 seconds, we did it. I'm so proud of us. Okay.
All right, here we go.
Let's see. Are you ready, Oakley? Ooh, that's a good one.
Food and diet.
Food and diet. This is a big topic.
It is. So food and diet.
Yeah.
There are so many directions you can take with this.
Which direction are you taking?
So I'm pretty much, I'm like a big advocate on like the supplements that I like to use on my dogs because I really want to protect their joint health. Like, that's a big thing for me.
Yeah.
So our dogs do so much activity that, you know, we can give them all the great diets and things like that, but giving them like an added joint supplement with glucosamine and chondroitin and MSM, like that's the kind of stuff that I like to focus on with my dogs. And so that's something that I focus on adding to their diet, not just what they're going to get in their food.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also traveling with food, I need food to be easy to travel with.
That's such a good point.
So what about you?
Yeah, I use all different kinds of foods, and that's something that's kind of unique, I think. A lot of people stick to one food the rest of the dog's life. I like to change it up for my dogs, and I found that helps them get used to new foods regularly. So if they eat something new, it doesn't throw off their stomach entirely. And I really like to feed them fresh foods as well. So not only supplements, I use lots of supplements for my dogs, especially my senior boys, because I have a 10-year-old and almost 12-year-old dog now. So those hip and joint supplements are huge for arthritis and things like that. But I also find that adding fresh foods helps prevent, you know, potential health problems down the road. And food is so important. So simple things like blueberries are like, some people don't realize
my
how
dogs
good
won't
blueberries.
touch them.
Oh, this one won't eat it either. But I do have 2 dogs that'll eat anything. But yeah, and like different vegetables, green vegetables, if they'll eat it. You know, I have a secret technique that you can use probably to get them to eat these things. If you take something like bone broth and you soak that stuff they don't eat, like carrots or blueberries, in the bone broth, then the dog thinks it tastes like bone broth.
I mean, that's not a bad idea.
Maybe you could try that. That might work for you.
I also know like the freeze-dried versions of those things.
Yeah.
Like blueberries, my dogs are like, that's disgusting. Why are you giving me that? But then if you give them like the freeze-dried version, they're like, oh, that's a treat. And then
that's actually true. My dog Tucker does not eat bananas, but then the freeze-dried banana treats that we were given by a treat company, he loves those. And I was actually really surprised because now I can use bananas. Yeah.
Because like I don't want to eat half the healthy things, but if you
put
make
it
it look like
mix,
a potato chip,
yeah,
then
it's great.
I'll eat it.
It's fantastic. Yeah, but I think adding different supplements are really helpful, and then making sure if you're going to add supplements that you talk to your vet too is really important to make sure what your dog needs extra supplements for. So we also don't want to over supplement our dogs with
so you don't like
things.
slowly switch them over. Your dogs are kind of used to just like changing over to a new food.
Yeah, so I oftentimes will give them some kibble, but I will give them random other kibbles as their treats.
Got it.
Or if I use food puzzle toys and stuff like that, I actually will use a different kind of food, and that helps them get used to eating new things all the time.
I mean, it's not a bad concept, especially if your dog doesn't have any like food allergies or anything crazy
huge.
like that.
Obviously, if your dog is sensitive to stuff, you want to make sure you know that.
All right, so we're nearing down to our 1 minute mark.
Okay.
That's crazy how fast it goes.
Yeah.
This is such a big topic that we can do so many different
There's
things.
so many different things.
I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite go-tos for when you're taking your dog out or training your dog? Like, what are your treats that you like to use?
So I love using, and you probably also use it, I love using freeze-dried food, like you said, but freeze-dried meats, so like beef liver, freeze-dried chicken, things like that. And I actually feed a dog food that's a freeze-dried dog food, and the dogs love it so much that I use it as their treats. And so like, it doubles as a meal. Okay, we're running out of time, so now, what's your favorite?
But adding to that is that like food and diet is it's not adding calorically if you use their meal to train or use them to take it out, like take them out on a walk. You don't want to like overload them with calories, which is a big deal, especially for older dogs too.
Yeah.
So I love using that as well. I love using those freeze-dried treats that don't like crumble and things like that. But also if you have a dehydrator at home, you can like get chicken.
That's such a good idea.
And you could just take chicken or take something else that you have or even bananas and you could just dehydrate your own meat and veggies and that actually can save you a lot of money too.
I love the amount of effort
and
we
it's
put
very
in for
natural.
our dogs, but not ourselves.
I know.
Right?
My husband's like,
my dog
chicken
eats the best.
jerky. And I'm like, the chicken jerky's not for you.
Yeah.
It's for my dog.
I definitely feed my dogs better than I feed myself, but they're worth it, right?
They are worth it.
Dog mom life. Oh my gosh. All right, 1 second. We're done. That was good.
And now to our segment, Let's Go for a Walk. So tell me about how's agility going?
It's going. It's going. Yeah, we have our ups and our downs, and you know, at our last trial, we had some really big successes. We got first place in one run.
That's awesome.
But then in another run, she just completely ran around the entire ring. She jumped on the judge.
That's good you got first though.
Yeah,
that's
but
a
you
big
know,
deal.
it's one of those things where you just have to like celebrate the wins and then laugh through the downs.
You do win some and you lose some.
Yeah.
And I mean like that's, so you know me, I've been wanting to, I was in agility class and then Whitby hurt his shoulders. But we want to come back because he's actually doing great now.
Well, and you guys have such a good.
I'd love to do some trials with you. Maybe something we can go together.
Yeah, I have one coming up on Saturday. It's probably too soon.
That's really, are you serious?
Let's jump right into it.
Are you going this Saturday?
Yeah, I'm literally going.
Holy cow.
I'm literally going in 2 days to go to agility.
You're gonna be so tired. You're such a busy
I know,
person.
but you know, I'm like, I love doing stuff with the dogs.
Yeah.
And she loves it.
Well, where is it is it the one in Maryland?
Yes, it's
Oh,
in Maryland.
Fun. That's cool.
And I'm
well,
really
we need to start
excited.
signing up together because it's one of the things that I want to do more. It's not just like sports with my dogs, but I want to do it with friends.
Well,
It'd be nice to go with you.
It's so much more fun when I have someone like you along with me in the journey.
Especially when your little one arrives.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Yes.
You're gonna have to be there and
I'll
helping
just bounce
me.
them and play with them, and you can go run your agility.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Are we ready?
Whoop, whoop. Let's do it.
Beasley's ready. Okay.
Beasley, you're ready.
Here we go. 1, 2. Oh, I clicked it already.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, I thought I was gonna. Ooh, clicker training.
Oh.
Sorry, that was really fun.
Clicker training.
That's a fun thing. Okay, we're dog moms, but we're also trainers.
Yes, we are.
And clicker training is really fun. I mean, should I get started? Because
You get started. She's really, you love clicker training.
I do love
I don't
clicker
have
training.
as much experience with it. I have actually personally moved pretty quickly off of clicker training to just using like the verbal reward marker.
Yeah, well, I think
which is your word yes. And
the
give them
thing
a
that
treat.
people don't realize, which maybe you're forgetting too, is that marker training is clicker training. It's
It is
the same thing. And
I
I
just
think,
don't use the
yeah,
object as much.
I only use a specific. Well, let's talk about it like from the beginning.
Let's talk about what people don't even know what clicker
Right,
training
because I feel like
is,
we're just
right?
jumping in, and some people will be like, "What are they doing? What are they talking about? We only have 4 minutes."
I know.
But clicker training is really just like the premise. I'll tell you guys because Chrissy knows this. It's basically the premise that when you make a sound or you say a word, you give your dog a reward. And so they learn really quickly that when they hear that sound or they hear that word, like the word yes, don't listen, or they hear a click, they get a reward. And it's just a really easy way to clear up and clean up communication between you and your animal. I say animal because I'm a dog mom, but I'm also a cat mom, and you can clicker train your cat too. So
And horses.
and horses.
Like,
You
all
can
the
clicker
animals.
train your children probably too. I mean,
haven't tried that.
But I think that clicker training is really, I don't use the clicker very often anymore, but I like to use the clicker when I teach new people that are training their animals how to do things because we talk so much. I talk so much. No offense, you talk a lot too.
She doesn't talk a lot.
just a little bit. We are doing a talk show, but if we are talking, we say, yes, good, I'm saying those words and he's not popping up right now. And so that's where I really like to use a clicker sometimes in training to really get that clarity of that's the exact behavior I wanted you to do, and now you
At
get a
that
reward
moment,
for
and
it.
they tie that sound with food reward.
Yeah.
Like Pavlov's theory, where you ring the bell, and then the dogs get fed, and you ring the bell, dogs
they
get
just
fed. A couple
drool.
weeks later, you just ring the bell and they would just start drooling because they know that food's coming. So that's like the same theory.
That is the premise of clicker training.
Right.
And so it sounds like a big thing for
and
a
they
lot
do
of
it for
people.
zoo animals. Like it's not just dogs, but it's a great way to be, if you're learning how to train and you're a little, let's say, sloppy or your timing's a little off, like when do I say yes and grab a treat? And it can be a lot for new trainers and new dog owners and pet parents. This gives you a very clear, concise moment to mark something that's good and then to deliver 100%. That reward.
You know, I used to train dog trainers how to become dog trainers, and I did this really fun game that I would give everybody a clicker, and this kind of showed you how bad your timing was.
Oh no.
And I would take a tennis ball and bounce it on the floor, and you would try to click the moment the ball touched the floor.
Oh, that's a good one.
And it would just be like click, 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 click. And I was like, guys, if that was your dog, what on earth did you just teach them? Like,
what did you
think about
teach?
that.
What did you show them?
If your dog is sitting and then they jump on you and you click when they jump, you're rewarding them, you're teaching them to jump on you.
There's another fun game that you can do. We have 1 minute left. I'm gonna tell you my game.
Oh gosh.
Okay. You get everybody, you get like, you're gonna sit here and then like maybe I in my mind want you to like put the glass in the sink, but I won't do anything. You have to literally walk around the room.
It's like hot and
I'll
cold.
click when you're like doing the right thing to lead to the right behavior.
Yes.
And so you can learn how difficult it is for a dog to experience that.
Right.
Where they walk in a room and they're like, well, what do you want from me? And they have to go by those types of communication
Yeah, it's
methods.
very humbling to realize how bad our timing is sometimes. And I think that's where clicker training can be a great thing, but also we have to be careful, like what are we actually teaching our dogs?
What are we rewarding them?
But I think if our listeners or viewers are getting to take anything from this, clicker training is just having fun with your dog, training your dog. It's not something to think, oh my gosh, I'm not talented enough for that.
No,
it's just an
everyone
easier
can do
way to
it.
communicate with your dog when
Maybe
training.
you can clicker train your husband.
Oh, I mean, I'll work for chocolate, so.
Oh, you would work for chocolate.
Yeah, clicker
I'll
train
work
me.
for cheese. I'll work for cheese.
Okay, I like it. All
Let's
right,
do
that
it.
was it. We're done. Next one, let's go.
All right, here we go.
Are we going to the next one? Okay. Ooh.
Oh, this is my
I think I have the same reaction to every single one. I go,
Okay, you do. All right, so this one's enrichment. It's probably one of my most favorite topics, and it's something I feel so passionate about. I probably could just write a whole book. Maybe I should write a book on it.
You should write a
Yeah,
book.
that'd be kind of cool.
Well, let's talk here at the beginning of your book.
Okay, so enrichment is a big deal because we get used to like, well, I provided my dog all the physical activity, and or now I have an older dog, or I have a young puppy that doesn't matter what I do, the dog still has so much energy. It took him for a run, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
There are other ways to work and bond with your animal, and that includes mental stimulation. And one big thing there is enrichment, which is like an endless opportunity.
Oh my gosh. Well,
but
enrichment
one thing
is
you
like
showed
100
recently,
things.
which I thought was really cool, was like, don't get rid of your like Amazon box.
Yeah.
Tell me what you said.
Yeah, I like to reuse trash because dogs don't know it's trash. And so, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people use enrichment with food, which is probably the easiest way to enrich your dog. But yeah, if you just take some of obviously make sure your dog is safe and it's not going to eat these things, because that's really important. Knowing your dog is important. My dogs don't eat those things. They'll just rip it up and have fun. But you can take towels, wrap some food in it. You can take some, newspaper. You can take anything, toss some kibble in there, some treats in there, fold up the Amazon box, and that becomes a huge puzzle toy for your dog to figure out. And then you're just using your trash. Like, you weren't going to use it anyway, so
That's
might
fine.
as well.
You're just gonna get rid of it or pile it back in your like closet like we do.
Well, do you have like any favorite enrichment toys that you like to use?
I do. So there's a really cool line of toys by Nina Ottensen. Am I saying
yeah.
that?
Mm-hmm.
She is like the mastermind of puzzle toys, and like the stuff she makes is incredible.
Some of those are actually like complicated.
So cool story behind that is like Beasley had like a sore shoulder for a while, and we were doing all this veterinary, like all this treatment, laser therapy. But there was this, and I was like, what do I do? He can't exercise him. He's laying around. But they have this puzzle toy that was like, it's like a cylinder you put food in, and there was a dish underneath, and the dog had to paw it to get the food out.
Interesting.
And so he was able to like
almost
rehab his shoulder while using a puzzle toy. So it was like I got a twofer. So they do some physical activity while they're doing it, while having a puzzle toy, and he was kind of rehabbing his shoulder.
That's amazing.
And I mean, he's doing so much better
something
now.
I want to talk about before we lose all of our time is that I think a lot of people think that enrichment is only with food, and a lot of people use enrichment toys or puzzles and things like that, and that is a form of enrichment. But I think enrichment can be so many other things too.
Yeah.
And I follow this person on Instagram. I'm so sorry, I don't remember their Instagram, but they literally created this like enrichment garden in their backyard for their dogs, where they had all these pet-friendly plants, and then they had a digging pit with sand in it, and they had like this little pond where they could like fish for things out of it. And I was like, that is one of the coolest ways to provide enrichment for your dog.
Yeah, like especially if you don't have like a trail you can go to, or let's say like your life, maybe you live in an apartment or you have a very small backyard in a city. Like what a great way to kind of like just change that all over to something that your dog can experience.
Yeah, and I mean, when my dogs we're running out of time, but when one of my dogs was recovering from a really serious surgery, he couldn't go on walks, he couldn't do anything. And so I also didn't want to give him food all the time because then he's just gonna get fat and whatever.
It's not good for him.
Yeah, so I actually would like bring things from places I was going just for him to sniff and like get new things going on. And he thought that was so exciting. And it's like, enrichment is, yes, great to use food, but we can think of any new way to provide some new enrichment for our dogs.
Also, you do like scent work with them.
Yes.
Which is such a low physical demand. Not like tracking in the woods, like where you find people missing, because they have that. But
yeah, but just looking for a smell in the house.
Like a smell in the house that are like birch.
Yeah, anise, clove, and birch.
Yes, yeah, obviously don't know what I'm talking about.
And cypress, yeah.
Sorry. But it's really cool that they can do that, and it's not taking a lot of physical demand, and it's enriching their
one
lives.
of my favorite things to do. We have 2
it's
seconds.
Their strongest sense is their nose.
Enrichment is fun. That was the end. Okay, so we finished talking about our topics, but we wanted to hear from our listeners and our audience as well. And so we took some questions from you guys, and I picked out a really personal one that I would really love to talk about. So let's go ahead and listen and see.
All right.
Hi, my dog's name is Summer, and I'm her very dedicated dog mom. We used to go to parks and hike a lot, and we're also very good with mental stimulation games. But I recently had a baby boy, and now I'm finding it challenging to get Summer as much exercise as before. We're still doing little neighborhood walks, but I'd like to do more. Can you share some easy ways to get exercise at home? Thank you.
Okay, can we just say how amazing of a dog mom she
I was
is?
lost in that video because I feel her pain.
Oh my gosh. Well, I am actually pregnant, and so surprise, surprise, I'm gonna be in this situation really, really soon. And so I've got some ideas, but you have an amazing little daughter, and so I would love to hear what you did in this, and also so we can kind of give her some tips as well.
Yeah, I could really see, like I could feel her emotion behind that question, because I struggled with that a lot with my dogs. I mean, at the time I only had Beasley, but Beasley was my everything. I think a lot of us have that one dog that's their everything. And when you add in like, you know, the elements of a human child, which is such a blessing, but it's also like everything that you used to do and what was your norm is different. I mean, you have a newborn and they're needy. And in the best of ways. But I think one of the things that I really had to like understand was that also everything is temporary in that regard. It's like it may be hard right now, but it's not gonna be hard forever. And changing what you did does not mean that you're doing less for your dog. It's just about finding new ways that your dog can be enriched. And we know a lot about enrichment. We talked about that.
That's such a good point.
So, you know, if I couldn't do the agility anymore, but maybe I could take hikes and have a longer leash and maybe pair it around my daughter's nap time, you know, and actually the walking rocked her to sleep, but always be prepared with the bottles and the whatever you need and just in case, and, you know, and, but what was important for me was like that I created time to incorporate my daughter and my dog, but also I made time where I could just take my dog. And so whether that was like working with family or working with my husband, so that I could still have that time with my dog. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah,
for
you know,
what you're
I really
planning?
loved that she was playing with her dog while cooking. She was carrying her baby while kicking the ball on the floor. And so she's clearly a super mom, both dog mom and human mom. And so I admire that a lot. I know that it's going to be really difficult, and so I've already kind of started teaching my dogs to just be okay doing nothing a little bit more, because I know they're going to be doing a lot less of everything that they used to do.
Right.
And I've been trying to add some new activities that we can do inside the house that are quiet and not crazy. And so scent work is something that like my dogs absolutely love. And you could teach your dog to find your keys. You could teach your dog to find a specific smell. And that's something I'm really going to hone in on and do a lot more of when I have a new baby in the house, I think.
And that's a great idea too, because you need something that's quiet, something that's going to keep you in the home, because your schedule's going to be all over the place. It's not going to be like, I know what I'm doing every single hour.
Right.
And so having that flexibility in your mind is also going to be useful. Like, what can we do today based on how your son or daughter's feeling, or did you guys get a terrible night's sleep and maybe you need to do some puzzle toys?
Yeah.
You know, there's so many things that you can do there, but activity-wise, which you see you're doing agility, you know, what can I still do? There's some great like fitness equipment you can buy for your dog, and there's so many places that you can buy like fitness equipment that's going to be a good challenge for your dog.
Right.
But small spaces, but like at the end of the day, like, you know, we can go take a hike, but then you ask me to go do like 10 lunges or squats, and I am spent. I don't know about all you guys. So, you know, having that fitness equipment can also challenge your dog right at home, and that can be a physical way to physically get your dog
Absolutely, and I think
happy.
we can't forget the mental enrichment too, like we talked about earlier in this episode. When I do math, like I'm terrible at math, it's really hard for me. I get exhausted after, and so when our dogs are thinking and they're using their brain, maybe they're not doing as much as they physically used to do, but they're still working their brain and they'll be tired after.
And check the diet as well. Make sure you're not overfeeding them when you do reduce their exercise.
Yeah, well, I think that's great, and thank you so much for sharing that question with us. I think you picked a question for this week too.
I picked a question for this week, so let's take a look.
Kara and I would love to know what's your favorite way of feeding your pets their meals.
Okay, I'll start because I can be so lazy sometimes. I don't have a big backyard, but honestly, one of the easiest and my favorite ways to feed my dogs to enrich them a little bit more is I will literally just take a handful of food and throw it in the grass. And it's nature's
snuffle mat.
It really is. You have all these amazing contraptions to kind of enrich your dog, but if you're feeling lazy like me, maybe for our newborn mom as well, just tossing some food in the grass is a great way to get them to take a little bit longer to eat their food. And that's like one of my favorite, most lazy dog mom hacks ever.
I like lazy dog mom hacks. That should be a thing.
Okay, what's your favorite?
Because we all have lazy dog mom hacks.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, it depends what my dogs did that day. If it was a super busy day and they got lots of exercise, then I usually do like a very traditional in the bowl or in a type of like flat, we call them platters, that you can kind of just like put their food on. It's like a flat plate that food goes on for dogs.
Yeah.
And that's when I know like they're physically, you know, they've got a great day at work. If I kind of was lacking there, emails, life, you know, we all get busy and we're tired, and I get migraines, some of you get migraines. Puzzle toys, I like to gate and separate because I don't want dogs fighting over their puzzle
100%.
toys.
I mean, with 4 dogs and 3 dogs, they all eat separately.
They don't need to be eating each other's meals. At the rate Darby would steal Beasley's meal, like Darby would weigh 50 pounds more. He's a very energetic border collie. So, you know, I'll have separated gates and I give them all their puzzle toys so that they actually have to move it around the house and get the food that way. And then I'll save a little bit of that food and feed them in a bowl because I want to make sure they get their supplements.
Yeah, I think I have so many different ways I feed my dogs. Frozen things, in slow feeders, in puzzle toys.
I think you do more than I do, actually.
But, you know, one thing I do always is I keep track of what I use during training, and then I subtract that from what they're eating. So if by the end of the day I haven't used it in a toy or in training, they get the rest of their meal actually in a bowl. So that way I'm not feeding them extra food, and that
you
keeps
made a
them
good point
trimmed.
of that because, you know, you were like, if you give them a bunch of chews during the day, or if like you did find out that you gave your dog some chews throughout the day because you were like super busy, don't give them like a full dinner because calorically.
Oh yeah, when my
It's
dogs
too
get
much.
bones, I take away at least a third of their meal because they're eating a ton
And
of
it's
calories.
not cruel, it's just keeping them healthy.
Yeah, and they appreciate
Thanks for that
it.
great question, Elliot. That was a really good one. But yeah, my favorite way, I would say personally, just to recap, I love using like puzzle platters or puzzle feeders. And then I always make sure they get their supplements, so I'll save some food extra to mix their supplement in.
Oh yeah, these dogs are a little spoiled.
Very.
Well, this was our first episode and I had so much fun. I literally cannot wait until episode 2. Like, talking with you about dogs is just the most fun thing ever. So
It's something that we do all the time, and we get to bring it to you and share it with you.
And you guys can actually get to be a part of it too. We love hearing from you. And so if you have questions or things you'd like to let us know and chat about, please go to dogtv.com/thedogmoms. It's going to be a great way for you to connect with us, and that way we can potentially feature you in our show and give you some tidbits of tips, or maybe just talk about anything that you throw our way, which will be really fun.
Yes, thank you so much. We've had such a great time with you guys, and we can't wait until the next one.
I know, these dogs, they're so spoiled.
I know.